The movie starts at a maximum security prison in Russia. We are then introduced to a limping man mopping the floors of a dirty toilet. His name, Yuri Boyka. Gaga, the mob boss, after noticing his presence, comes to meet him. He reveals that Boyka made him a lot of money in the past, and he is willing to help him. Before he could complete saying all his offers, Boyka cuts him short and declines them, saying that he is at ease with who he is currently. In a flashback, we realize Boyka was a fighter. He was defeated and had his knee broken in the hands of George Iceman Chambers. Years have passed since his defeat. Humbled by his injury, he is relegated to becoming the prison janitor. After some thoughts, he tells Gaga the only way to help him is by allowing him fight Psychov in the tournament. Gaga declines, saying the option is suicidal for a man with a broken knee, because winning the tournament, which Gaga finds it impossible, will expose him to other great fighters. Gaga has expanded his prison tournament enterprise into an inter-prison tournament called the Prison Spets Competition, which gathers the best prison fighters from around the globe to compete for a chance at a cleared record and early release. As Boyka hears the preliminaries taking place within the prison, as well as failing in his parole, we realize Boyka has been training privately to bring his knee back into fighting shape. Just after the current champion, Vladimir Psychov, defeats his opponent in the final round of the prison's tournament, Boyka pours water on him to get his attention and challenges him on the spot. Gaga hesitantly agrees and lets him fight the champion. At this point, if you're new to Scenes Recap, please hit the subscribe and the bell to never miss any of our daily uploads. It might seem so simple for you, but the fact that you have done it already means a lot to us. Back to the movie. Boyka dodges Psychov punches and with a good aim punches his face. Boyka swiftly defeats him and becomes the Russian representative for the PSC. Shortly the crowd starts chanting his name. Boyka is transferred to Gorgon prison in the Republic of Georgia, where he is joined by a diverse group of 8 international prison fighters. As they all assemble to hear from Warden Kuss, the prisoner's identity is revealed. Among them was Turbo, a former USA Marine military, now a prison fighter, who is shown to be disrespectful and a loudmouth. Rodrigo Silva, a Brazilian prison fighter. The new 8 fighters are limited to 1 hour each day for training. They are as well grouped into the general population for hard labor, while Colombian fighter and local inmate, Dolar, is always given a regimen of performance-enhancing drugs and private sparring sessions. He seems like a valuable asset for them in the prison tournaments. The first tournament is between Brazil and Greece prison fighters, where Rodrigo Silva dominates through the whole match. He wins fairly touched and advances to the second round of the tournament. In the second tournament of the prison fighters, between USA and Croatia, has Turbo's boss, Farnati, who is very enthusiastic about Turbo's match and fighting performance. In the fight we notice, Turbo is more of a boxing athlete. He wins his fight with a stance and also proceeds to the second round of the tournament. The third tournament has Boyka, who is staring in this movie with a broken knee. His boss Gaga, who sits calmly showing little enthusiasm to his fighter's match, though privy to Boyka's fighting skills, is troubled with his fighter's broken knee. In the Russia-France tournament, Boyka beats the odds, giving the crowd the best fighting scenes in exception of his broken knee, leaving his boss, Gaga, proud and high on spirit after winning the match. The fourth fighting scene of the tournaments has the well-looked-after Dolar, who seems to fight by engaging his audience in his every move. He takes his opponent's hits like nothing serious, or like one of his sparring partner, before beating him unconscious. In the next scene, Warden Kuss tells the fighters who lost that they will be leaving the prison and go home. They are then driven to place and shot dead by the waiting guards. The next day, Turbo slaps Boyka's broken knee and tells him that he saw how he fought while praising his skills. He then slaps it again when Boyka does not say a word. This makes Boyka angry and punches Turbo's face, while telling him that he talks too much. They then start fighting while the crowd cheers. It appears Turbo was trying to test Boyka fighting skills against his. The guards also pulled back and gave them space, while watching this fight from a distance. Turbo and Boyka being among the fighters, in the semi-final round of the arranged prison tournaments. I believe everyone would really have wished for the two to collide. Their short fight with no clear winner leads them to a solitary confinement. Meanwhile, we see their managers bribe the guards to see their fighters. Upon hearing of the prison's treatment of their fighters, the two mob bosses confront Warden Kuss. There they met PSC mastermind, Rezo, who explains to them that the tournament has always been fixed to ensure the highest profit at the lowest risk. This explains why the other fighters are always limited to only 1 hour for training each day. He advises them to liquefy their assets, and place their bets on the Colombian fighter, Dollar, to ensure their profit. Realizing that the loyalty to their fighters only extend to their payout, Gaga and Farnati agree to this arrangement. Eventually Turbo and Boyka are released due to some manipulations by their managers. Meanwhile, at the working area, Boyka and Turbo slowly develop a trust in each other. Upon realizing that they are always limited to an hour training for a fixed tournament, they both start using the hard labor as part of their training. With Turbo's attitude eroding, he starts showing signs that his ego evolved from a highly disciplined past as a USA Marine. In addition to reciting, improvise, adapt, and overcome, as part of his training, he recommends some holistic medicine for Boyka to soothe his knee. In their brief chat, Turbo reveals that he fights to win the tournaments to see his family, while Boyka says he has to win since God has given him a talent and that he is the most complete fighter in the world. He also adds that he has been training in his whole life, and has to prove his worth. Turbo humorously responds that he will feel bad when he is weeping Boyka's ass. In the semifinals, Boyka is fighting Silva, and with their acrobatic moves, it was not easy to notice he has a broken knee. I think he almost forgot he has a broken knee while doing the move, though this changed when Silva touched it, and Dollar, who was watching their fight, notes his weakness. But still, that did not stop Boyka from entertaining the crowd with more moves. He eventually defeats Silva by making him tap out to a triangle choke. He then helps his opponent up and commends him for a good fight. The next day, Silva is driven to the same place as other prison teammates were taken and shot. Realizing that Boyka and Turbo are stronger than predicted, Rezo fears that Turbo might as well beat his Colombian fighter, Dollar, and together with Warden Kuss, they come up with a plan to weaken Turbo before the next fight. In the next scene, Turbo is taken to a place he is surrounded by the guards, where Warden Kuss provokes him, saying they have become intimately related with his friend Boyka, and that such acts are not allowed in their prison. Angry Turbo tries to punch Kuss and gets a beating to a bloody pulp. The next day, as Boyka was having his 1 hour training, Dollar comes to him and calls him champion of the toilets, since that was his work after losing his earlier match, and tells him to spend some quality time with his American boyfriend Turbo, since it will be his last. When the prisoners are taken for the next round of their usual hard labor, Boyka tries to convince Turbo into escaping, rather than face Dollar while wounded. Knowing that Turbo used to be in the military, the plan is to escape to the forest where the security is lightest and survive long enough to eventually get in touch with the black market. Turbo initially disagrees, until another prisoner reveals that the losers are executed, and that losers only reach their homes dead. Turbo tells Boyka that he might be killed for doing that. Boyka informs him that they will not, since this tournaments are their businesses and that someone has to fight for them to get the money. Caught trying to break their chain, the two fight off the guards long enough as the other prisoners cheer them up. Boyka takes their keys and frees Turbo. As he runs towards the forest, one of the guards tries shooting him. Boyka hits him with a stone and Turbo successfully escapes. Boyka is returned to the prison where he is confronted by Rezo, Warden Kuss, and Gaga, knowing he has lost all support including his manager, who also chose to support Dollar. He commits himself to ruining their gamble by defeating Dollar in the newly improvised final round. Dollar takes an early lead with his exceptionally quick hand blocks and strikes, as well as exacerbating the problems with Boyka's weak knee by using a submission hold on it. Deprived of his kicking ability and agility, Boyka recovers first by relying on his endurance and pain tolerance, while limping and persevering past some devastating hits. We could tell that his manager did not look happy despite saying he bid against Boyka for money. It looks like the fight is over when he is kicked out of the ring, and Dollar does an early victory stance. But when he catches a glimpse of the mop and bucket used for sopping up blood after the bouts, which bears a striking resemblance to the ones he used during his training, he returns into the ring before the 10 count. Remembering Turbo's mantra, improvise, adapt, overcome, he takes the blood-soaked pad off the mop and ties it around his knee. Forced to adapt, he begins using a new style mixing in elements of grappling and elbows hits, wrestling, and wushu. Using his injured knee as a decoy, he fly punches Dollar face. In a final moment of rage, Dollar breaks his shin against Boyka's knee block, ending the match. Desperate and despondent, Farnati confronts Warden Kuss, and shoots Rezo over the money that he's lost before being shot by the warden himself. Despite winning the tournament, Boyka is not allowed to go free because the guards have not found Turbo. Because Boyka was responsible for his escape, the arrangement is that Turbo will remain free while Boyka will be transferred back to his original prison, to which Boyka responds that he does not care, he has proven his point. In the next scene, like the other prisoners, Boyka is instead taken out to be shot. but he is rescued at the last minute by Turbo. He shoots Warden Ku's head with a good aim, proving his military shooting skills. He then shoots the rest of the guards, then releases Boyka and the duo retreat to a waiting car where Gaga sits with a suitcase of money. He reveals that he always knew Boyka was the best fighter in the world, especially when he was angry, so he bet all of his money on him all along and deceived the other managers, even going so far as to rescue and hide Turbo when he escaped. Boyka decides to part ways, finally revealing his first name, Yuri, to Turbo. In turn, Turbo confesses that his real name is Jericho, not realizing that Boyka has a special appreciation for religious references. In gratitude, and borrowing the Jericho Bible story, he thanks Turbo for bringing down the walls and setting him free. Turbo then requests a match with Boyka in future and Boyka accepts. As the car leaves, Boyka happily walks with the money-filled briefcase towards freedom and laughing joyfully. This is marking the end of this film. You can also leave a comment if you will want us to recap your favorite movie. Also subscribe to help this channel out. Until next time, have a great day.